What's going on, everybody? ChromeOnRust here. We're going to be taking a look at a 200 mil Witch Doctor set that is going to be MP10 viable. Now this is for the Firebats build or the BATDOG build that I featured in my previous video. Now I can definitely tell from reading a few of the comments that there was a little bit of skepticism around it on whether it was MP10 viable or not. Well, because I was running on MP3. Well, the reasons behind that is I was only using a 10 mil Witch Doctor set for that video. But also, the spec takes a little bit of concentration. You're going to need to be paying attention to your health pool, your mana pool, if your skills are on cooldown or not, where the mobs are in relation to you, all the ground effects that are going on as far as like the arcane beams, the fire chains, and all that. And also, you want to try to be targeting down the most threatening mob on your screen as well, so you can get rid of them nice and fast and not have to worry about dying and everything. So while I was trying to do all that, I was also trying to talk and record the video and everything, so it just wasn't working out. But 200 mil is going to be what I recommend you to use if you are trying to farm an MP10 with a Firebats build. Now you could do it for less, but then you're going to be sacrificing a little bit of survivability or a little bit of damage, unless you just find like some really insane deal or something like that. But they don't just come around that often. Now also, while you're searching through the auction house, I'm highly going to recommend that you go ahead and try to snipe a few items or try to bid on a few, because that's where you're going to be getting your better items for cheaper, and you're going to be able to save a lot and make this budget build actually work properly. Now you can go ahead and buy out a few items. I did for my gear set as well, but really only if they were pretty good deals. Now I call this a gearing discussion and not a gearing guide, mainly because I'm not going to be like running through the auction house and showing you all the items that are on there and what I came up with and everything. I'm going to be going through the gear and everything, talking about it. I'll also share the prices and everything. So I mean, it's kind of similar to a gearing guide, but I decided to call it a discussion just because I'm not going to be like filtering through the auction house and showing you all that. Now there's a few other things that I want to be talking about as well that I did in my previous video, just kind of due to the length and me not having a lot of time invested into the actual spec itself. So it's nothing groundbreaking or anything like that, but let's go ahead and jump right in here. Alright, well this is the gear here, and these are the stats. I do want to point out that there's two general ways that players like to farm on MP10, and they do kind of have different gearing strategies to them, especially while you're working with a budget. There are those who want to be able to kill elite packs so they can pick up demonic essences and get more magic find through their Nephilim Valor, be able to do key runs and all that. And then on the other side of things, there are players who are really only worried about killing the white mobs on the higher MPs for that bonus item for their best chance at finding legendaries. So the trade-off is going to be, if you want to be able to kill elites, you're going to need more survivability and you're going to be sacrificing DPS. But if you're only worried about killing the white mobs, you're probably not going to be needing quite as much survivability, and you should be able to get a little bit more damage. Now this budget was built with 200 mil, but gems not included, just like when you go to the store. Batteries not included, same type of deal. I do think I have about 150 mil tied up in gems in this build as well, between the amethyst, the 4 topazes, and the emerald inside of the weapon, so do keep that in mind. So I'm going to be going over the stats, and then I'm going to jump into the gear. So 116k damage. If you get 110k or more, I think you're going to be doing pretty good if you are gearing for survivability, which is what this set is built around. So there are going to be some things to counteract the low damage that we have here. You're going to be able to get some bonuses through your skills, through your passives, so keep that in mind. Whatever you're lacking in your gear, you're going to be able to do that through the spec that you choose. So I'm using Circle of Life, which is going to be giving us zombie dogs, 30% chance whenever a mob dies within a certain range of us. That's going to be pretty nice, but that's going to be working well with Sacrifice. Now Sacrifice is going to explode the zombie dogs and do a little bit of damage, a little bit of lifesteal. But the main reason I use those two is for Provoke the Pack, which is going to be giving us 15% damage increase whenever we explode 3 zombie dogs. So that's going to be boosting our damage. Also, I'm going to be using Soul Harvest. That's going to boost our intelligence by over 650 whenever it hits 5 mobs. So when I'm full buffed, and the durations are 30 seconds, so they're not short or anything like that, I'm sitting up around 170k damage, so do keep that in mind. It looks like some low damage, but I'm going to be sitting up quite a bit higher most of the time, especially while I'm fighting a big packs. Then both my buffs are pretty much always going to be on. So I'm going to recommend about 35% crit chance or more is going to be the goal that you're going to be wanting to try to hit. Now if you get up to around 40, that's going to be really good because we are not barbarians when we are playing witch doctors, and we don't get like 15% passive crit chance or anything like that. So 35 to 40 is going to be a pretty good mark to hit. Now for the survivability stats, 4.5k armor is what I was shooting for. Now you're not going to quite need that much. I do hear people recommend about 4k though. But most of the time when they are saying 4k, they do have quite a bit more intelligence. So that's going to be boosting their all resist as well. So normally they're sitting around like 700 all resist. But do keep in mind that all resist and armor do have diminishing returns. So you can see I'm at 59.87% here, and then while at my all resist, I'm only at 66.16. Or I am at 66.16. So my armor is actually reducing my damage lower, and they do have diminishing returns. So if you're going for survivability, go for more armor, and worry about getting more all resist through your intelligence, which is going to boost your damage. So if you're building this set, your survivability is going to be pretty good. You're not really going to need too much more. Go for more damage. If you get more intelligence, that's going to be boosting your all resist and helping you out with survivability as well. So I ended up with 84k life, which is pretty good. You're not going to quite need that much. I'd say about 60k or higher is going to be a good number to sit at. You could probably get away with lower, maybe like 50k or so, but that is going to be starting to really push it. So let's go ahead and jump into the gear here. Now I'm going to start at the helm, work my way all the way down to the boots. So I was looking for a Zuni's Massive Vision with about 240 intelligence and 3.5, 4% crit chance. Whatever you can get on your build is going to be what you wanted to look for. I wasn't too worried about vitality or that life percent. Maximum mana, I wasn't too worried about that as well. So some high intelligence, 3.5% crit chance or more. I was able to get 4%. I ended up paying 27 mil for this helm. This is going to reinforce the reason why you're going to want to snipe items and bid on a few and not just buy them out. Because I do believe if I were to buy this helm, it would be about like 40 mil or so. Don't quote me on that. That's about what they were costing last time I looked. Now the other two helms that I'm going to recommend is just like a Voodoo Mask, or if you want to go for this legendary here, you could. Now these, you're going to be able to get increased mana regeneration as well. So if you don't want that 4-piece set bonus and you want to get some other items and mix it up a little bit, this would be a pretty good helm to go ahead and go with, because they're also going to be able to get reduced cost of Firebats by 12. I believe they go from 4 to 12. That's going to be really nice with your Cloudabats. Also, once again, if you don't want that helm, you go for a Mempho. I recommend getting a crit Mempho. Now these are going to be really expensive and they're definitely not going to fit within your 200 mil budget. But sometime in the future, if you're looking to upgrade, 9-6 Mempho would be really good. 9 attack speed, 6 crit chance. Way to go. Now, our next item here is going to be shoulders. On this, I went for some strength for that increased armor. So it's going to bring my armor value up on these shoulders. Not quite to 800, but pretty close at least. I wanted some nice high intelligence, and I went for life percent. You'll end up seeing here that I have 1400 vitality. So the 12% life is actually going to be better than the 90 vitality. So that's the way I went. That's the reason that I went that route. Also, it was a little bit cheaper. I ended up paying 4.5 mil for these. The other type of shoulders that I would recommend is going to be crafting. Crafted shoulders are also going to be really good. So some high strength, some high intelligence, and life percent if you can, if you have some nice high vitality. Now our next item here is going to be our amulet. And I was going for, once again, high vitality, some armor, nice high crit chance, and some average crit damage. Didn't have to be anything crazy. 53, that's alright. Now, the additional stat that I got was intelligence, which is pretty good. I mean, I was looking for one with intelligence, but if it had some decent strength on there, some decent dex, 43 intelligence isn't going to be helping you out that much. So there's going to be two other amulets that I'd recommend. This is a rare amulet. I'd recommend a crafted amulet as well, which are going to be better than rares. But you could also go ahead and go for a Talrash's Allegiance, They're going to be really good for damage. You can get some insane damage on there. You can see this one. It's not even like a great one. It has some attack speed on there, which is pretty good. It's boosting my damage by 3k. So for damage, Talrash's are going to be really, really good. I ended up paying 3 mil for this amulet. Now, our gloves here, I'm going to recommend a couple other gloves as well. These are rare. I just went ahead and I bought all these items on the auction house. I didn't try to craft or anything like that. Now, look for some high intelligence, high crit chance, and high crit damage. It's going to be the three stats you're going to be really wanting. I ended up getting some fire res, dex, and strength on there, which is pretty good. Something to note is make sure you pay attention to the actual armor values on your pieces of gear while you're purchasing them. You see 311 armor, that's pretty good because it is a level 63 item. When you are searching for something like that over the course of like 11 items, you're going to be able to boost your total armor by like 100, 200, depending on what you're able to get. So rare gloves or crafted gloves, those are going to be the two that I recommend, and I bought these for 5 million. Now our next item here is going to be Zuni's chest. Now I was going for some nice high vitality. Once again, you're going to see a recurring trend throughout this entire gear set. Really high vitality, good armor wherever I can get it. Now on here it has 450 armor, just base, which is pretty good. It's near the top end of what Zuni's chest can get. Now I ended up getting strength on here as well, which is really good. I really wasn't worried about the additional stat. I mean, I was looking for something that would be nice. 81 strength, 81 armor. Going to boost this chest over 500, so that's really good. Another chest that I'd recommend. Now the Zuni's is going to be for protection. life and all that. But the other chest that I'd recommend for damage and for movement speed is going to be the Tyrael's Might. These are pretty good. They're always going to have a main stat, all resist damage to demons, movement speed, increased damage to elites. And then you get 3 sockets on here as well because they are going to have 1 additional stat. They also always have that ignores durability loss. So Zuti's chest or Tyrael's Might. Those would be the 2 that I'd recommend. Now I ended up picking up this chest for 2.5 mil, which is like really good deal. So snipe items, it's going to be the way to go. Now our next item here is going to be strong arm bracers. They get up around like 266 intelligence or so. I do believe is about the highest that I have seen. So nice high intelligence. You can get them with vitality. They are going to only have 1 additional stat on there. I was able to get the int vit roll, which is pretty good. I mean, you can catch them with like int dex rolls or int strength rolls as well. But nice high intelligence, vitality if you can. They roll from 8 to 9 life percent. I was able to get to 9%. And armor. They're always going to have armor on there as well, which is going to be really, really good. Once again, 449 armor on a pair of strong arm bracers. This is near the top end of the range. Always going to have that 4.5% crit chance and the 1.1% chance to knock back on hit. That goes from like 1% to 5%. Now, I'm not saying that exactly, but it's pretty close. But I wouldn't worry about this stat as much. It's not going to be that big of a bother if you do get one with higher knockback on there. It's going to be coming right back at you. So the other 2 that I would recommend, I end up picking this up for 8.1 mil. The other 2 would be Lacunis. Now these are going to be really good once again to get you up to that 24% movement speed. They always have that attack speed on there, and I'd recommend getting one with crit chance. If you're going for Lacunis, get one with crit chance. I do believe they are going to be fitting inside of this budget. Now how much crit chance you can get, I'm not quite sure, but you should be able to get one. The next item is going to be crafted. Once again, crafted bracers are going to be great. So for our ring, I'm going to recommend Stone of Jordans, or there's a couple other ones as well, but that's the way that I went because you can normally pick one up pretty cheap. I got this for 7 million. Now, on this, I wanted to get reduced cost to Firebats, but this is like the build that's trending now, so you're probably not going to be able to fit it inside of this budget unless it's like one that gives you like 4, because they do go from like 4 to 10 on the Firebat reduction mana cost. So I went with Locust Swarm. 12% is actually the highest. 30% damage versus elites is the highest, and 6% elemental damage is the highest. So I only missed this ring by 1 point. And I ended up picking up for 7 million, like I said, so you can pick these up pretty cheap. But I do think the more popular, if this build does get more popular, they are going to be increasing in price. So if you plan to gear out your Witch Doctor, I do believe the sooner the better. Unless this build just completely dies off, then, well, then I'd be completely wrong. So keep that in mind. You know, I could be not right there. So, like I said, I end up picking this up for 7 million, but the other few that I'm going to recommend is going to be a Hellfire Ring. You can always get like black damage, crit chance, average damage on there, attack speed, whatever, your main stat and everything, plus that bonus experience on there, which is really good when you are trying to Paragon level. Now, Unities, that's going to be the next one. They're always going to have decreased damage versus elites, crit chance, life on hit, main stat, and average damage. Then you're going to be able to get 1 additional stat. I was able to get a vitality on this one. Now this is for that 10 mil set that I built in my previous video. So if you can get one with crit damage, that'd be definitely the way to go for this type of build. Now you also can get a Stone of Jordan, like I was saying, with reduced cost to Firebats, going to be from 4 to 10. So next item here is going to be a Witching Hour. This is actually my second most expensive piece. Now I was going for one that was nice and tanky. Really, the stat that I missed, or the one roll that I missed, is I got a vitality roll on here. Now, I didn't identify this or anything. I bought this out, 35 mil, like I said. If it would have been an int vit roll, it wouldn't have fit inside of this budget. That's I'm almost positive about that. But I did go ahead and get this on the snipe. I think I'd be able to sell this for maybe around 100 mil, depending on who I sold it to. But I know I can definitely flip it if I were trying to make a profit. But I do want to hang on to this gear because I was having a lot of fun with this build. So go for some vitality, life percent, armor, if you can. Now this is going to be definitely the only belt that I would recommend. And for our last ring here, I'm going to recommend you getting Zuti's Pox with crit chance, and then whatever other stat you're going to be needing in addition to it. I went for some vitality, got the dex fit rolls, a little bit more protection, and it had some health globes on there as well. So crit chance is going to be the one main stat you're going to be wanting to get, and I bought this for 15 million on the snipe once again. Now our pants, try to get some intelligence, really nice high vitality. All resist, armor, sockets if you can afford them. This one had 1 socket on here. I only paid 5 mil for these pants. So you could end up seeing that some of these items are pretty budget and other ones are a little bit more expensive. I'm leaving myself room to upgrade by doing this. So that's pretty nice. Now some other pants that you could go for though, Depth Diggers for some damage. Those are going to be really good. These are also going to be good for survivability. The Blackthorn's Jousting Mount, they're always going to have strength, dex, and fit, life on hit, and life percent. Also, they have the magic find on there as well. Then you're going to be able to get two additional stats. So on this one, it has vitality and arcane resist. So I'd recommend getting some vitality roll or an int roll or something like that, or all resist armor and sockets. Those would be the optimal rolls for a Blackthorn's Jousting Mail. So next item here is going to be the scoring. This is the most expensive piece in this gear set. Now you could go the way of the one-handers as well. I'm not saying that you have to use two-handers, but I do like them because they have that nice low attack speed, and you can get up to 6% lifesteal in here. So go from 4.5 to 6%, and one-handed weapons can only get up to 3%, but with the one-hander, it's still going to be viable. I've seen players running around with one-handeds and an offhand, so do keep that in mind. Just go for lifesteal and as high damage as you can afford. Now you could go for like a Monojuma's Carving Knife. Now this is a one-handed weapon. You're going to be able to get one additional stat on here. This additional stat was increased mana regeneration, so on ceremonial knives you can get increased mana regeneration if you are trying to break up that 4-piece set bonus. So keep that in mind, but the optimal roll on this would be a socket. Now for an offhand, Zunimasa's String of Skulls, if you are going for a one-handed, you can still keep your 4-piece set bonus and everything, so that's going to be pretty nice. If you want to like throw on a Mempho in your helm or something like that, or if you want to use a different chest, there's still ways to use that 4-piece. Now on these, you can get the increased mana regeneration up to 14 once again, so if you have the 4-piece set bonus, and you're using one of these with 14 mana regeneration, well, you're going to be getting 34 mana regen just from your gear, so that's going to be really, really good. Now our last item here is going to be our boots. I ended up picking these up for 15.4 million. I'm going to recommend Zunimasa's Trial or Ice Climbers. Zunis, for the damage, you're going to be able to get some pretty insane damage on these. Now this doesn't have a really high intelligence roll, and you can also get up to 8% poison damage, so keep that in mind. But on this, I was really just going for vitality and armor. I wanted some nice high vitality and some nice high armor. Now, Ice Climbers, like I said, these are going to be the other ones. You get a primary stat, all resist, armor, life percent. They're always going to have that on there. Vitality, they're always going to have a socket as well. Some decent armor on there. So for protection, Ice Climbers are going to be the best. But for damage, Zunis are going to be the best. Hello? Hello? Is that you? Alright, well there's just a couple more things that I wanted to briefly talk about, and what it was going to be in my BATDOG video. I said that Cloudabats is going to be channeling up to 600% weapon damage, and that is actually untrue. It's going to take that 500% weapon damage, and then it's going to double it up to 1,000. And no, Jay Wilson will not be in this video just because I said double it, or will he?
And then we doubled it.
Alright, enough of that for a while. Well, if you want to figure out how much mana regen you're going to be needing for whatever skill that's going to be channeling, you're going to be able to figure that out if you want the skill to cost nothing. Now, you have a mana pool for a reason, so you're not going to be needing quite this much. But if you want to figure something like this out, you're going to be able to. So in our case, for our example, we're going to be using Firebats, which uses 66 mana while it is channeling. And you're going to take that number, and you're going to times it by your attack speed. So if you have 2 attacks per second, you're going to times 66 by that. In my case, I have 1.09 attacks per second. So I'm going to times that by 66, and I'm going to be coming up with 71.94. But like I said, we have a mana pool for a reason, so don't be scared to get a little bit less than what you're actually needing. Like I have 65 mana regen, and I need 71.94 per second. And I'm sitting fine, especially while you're using things like Spirit Walk with Honored Guest. That's going to be giving you mana back as well. Now, I want to pull up a couple passives here real fast, just to talk about them briefly, and this is going to be our last thing. Now, Blood Ritual is going to take up 15% of our mana cost paid with life. Now, I was looking at this and I was like, oh man, this is going to be messing up my survivability. And then I was actually thinking about it and I was like, well, if Cloudabats only uses 66 mana per tick, it's only going to be taking up 9.9 of my life per tick, especially when you couple that with the additional thing that the passive has. You regenerate 2% of your maximum life per second. So if you have 30k life, you're going to be getting 600 life back per second. If you have 60k life, you're going to be getting 1200 life back per second. If you have 90k life, you're going to be getting, well, 1800 life back per second. So don't worry about it when you are planning to use this passive Blood Ritual. I was really enjoying it. It's been helping me out a lot. Now the next thing is going to be, I want to bring up Graven Justice. Whenever an enemy dies within 8 yards, you regen 2% of your maximum life and mana, and the cooldowns on all of your abilities are reduced by 1 second. Now, I was mainly using this for the survivability. I didn't need the mana regen. I didn't need the cooldown reduction because I'm not using something like Big Bad Voodoo. So if you're the same boat that I'm in and you're not having trouble with survivability on killing white mobs, go ahead and take this off. If you're having troubles with elites and everything, throw on another tanky passive, because this is not going to be helping you out while you're fighting just like 3 blue elites or whatever, while they're just circled around you and you're trying to attack them. You're not going to be killing them, you're just going to be damaging them. So I ended up finding out that I don't need Grave of Justice, and I really thought that this was a main CloudBats build passive, but I took back my thought and I went ahead and I threw on Blood Ritual like I was saying, and I'm using like Jungle Fortitude and everything. That's really been helping me out with survivability. So that's just some things you can go ahead and try out. Alright, well everyone, well that's going to be it for me. I'm ChromeOnRust for Core Expert Gaming. I hope you did enjoy the video. I know it's pretty long. Like, subscribe, all that good jazz, and I'm out of here, and you all have a great day.
Try moving the rabbit ears around.
I know, Mom, but I still can't get it working. I'm just going to go ahead and turn it off for now.